Hello, everybody. Welcome to our 17th lesson now. Yeah, I've been delivering lessons every week, non-stop. Some of them were live at the very beginning. Then I decided to stop for a while and I uploaded recorded videos. But now here I am back again live. I hope that everything is working well. I'm checking that the transmission, the broadcasting is okay. So I guess everything is all right. This is going to be the coming back to live lessons every Wednesday at the same time. I'm going to be helping you to speak English more fluently and more confidently. So if you want to improve your English, if you want to have the chance of working perhaps on those little things that you still feel you need more work on, just join the lessons every Wednesday, and together we'll be improving, as I said before, your English, helping you to feel much more confident. Okay, let me check. Everything is all right. Again, as I had a couple of issues a couple of minutes before starting, I'm just checking that everything is all right. So what are we going to do today? I have decided to focus on one of the topics I find most confusing for students, and perhaps something that you won't find in any English textbook. There isn't a unit based on sentence structure and how to organize your ideas, your thoughts. And there is a connection between working on this and fluency, because how can you be fluent if you have no structures? Sometimes students come to me and tell me, Andre, I want to work on my speaking skills. And that is fantastic, and that is key to speaking English more fluently and more confidently. But you also need to have the necessary structures to put your ideas and thoughts into sentences. So that's where we're going today. Yeah, we're going to be working on these little things that might seem quite easy and simple, but students usually trip over them. So let me just show you this way. Let's get started with the presentation. Okay, first of all, you need to know what sentence structure is, because as we're going to be working with that today, let's focus on what we mean by that. And as it says here, sentence structure is the way in which you organize words and phrases in a sentence to make it complete and meaningful. What do we mean by this? Imagine we say, or you hear something like this: he told. And so you're going to say, what? He told who and he told what? So the sentence is incomplete. That's why sentence structure has to do with that, with making your sentence complete. Hi there, making your sentence complete and meaningful. Okay. We're going to structure our lesson today the following way. First of all, I'm going to show you a sentence. You will have to decide if that sentence is right or wrong. And then I'm going to tell you why it is right, why it is wrong. And by the end of these first three sentences, you're going to get an exercise in which you're going to put all these that we're going to be working with today into practice. So, here we go. Let's get started with the first sentence. And this one says, okay, thanks for the invitation. Was a fantastic party. Is this sentence right or wrong? What do you think? Is there anything that perhaps shouldn't be there? Is there anything that might be missing? Okay, perhaps if you are one of my students, you have already spotted the mistake, because this is something I insist on in every lesson. So let's see, this sentence is wrong. But why is it wrong? Because there's something missing. Because I always say that every sentence in English must have a and a verb. In this case, if we focus on this part, this second part of the sentence, was a fantastic day. Here, hi Maxi, how's it going? Nice to see you here. If we focus on this second sentence, you're going to see that there's something missing before the verb. But what is missing? What do we need in every sentence in English? We need a subject. So in this case, the missing word was eat, referring to the party itself. Thanks for the invitation. It was a fantastic party. So every sentence in English needs to have a subject. Perhaps if you compare these to your native language, you might find some differences. In my case with Spanish, you can have sentences without a subject because the verb itself gives you the necessary information to identify who you are talking about. But that's not the case in English. So every sentence in English must have a subject. But there are a couple of exceptions to this rule. For example, imperative sentences. When you tell somebody, come here, sit down, tell me, talk to me about it. In those sentences, you start directly with the verb. There's no subject, but the subject is implied. There's always a you in an imperative. You sit down, you tell me. And then there is also another exception to this rule. For example, when you use exclamatory sentences like, wow, really? But you should know that for some grammarians, these kind of exclamations are not real sentences. But then, taking these two examples aside, your sentence in English always needs a subject. Do you remember that, Maxi? Yes? We usually talk about that in our lessons. Okay, so let me show you the second sentence, and you have to tell me if it is right or if it is wrong. So, this sentence says, we will back home next week. All right, what do you think? Is it okay? It's not okay? Think about it, analyze the different parts that you have in the sentence. If we go back to the first example, we can say that, okay, we have a subject. So up to that point, this sentence is okay. But what about the rest of the sentence? Is it okay? What do you think? Okay, this sentence is also wrong. But why is it wrong? Because there's something missing. There's a verb missing. You might say, oh, hold on a second. What about will? Will is a verb, but will is a modal verb. So in this case, modal verbs only add an idea to the sentence. In the case of will, we are adding a future idea, but we don't have any main verb conveying the meaning of the whole sentence. Think about other modal verbs. Will, can, must, should, would, etc. There are many more. Those verbs, as I said before, add an idea to the sentence, but you always need a main verb in that case. Back is a preposition, it's not a verb, so what you need is a verb there. For example, we will be back home next week, or you might also have here the verb get, we will get back home next week. Okay, so remember that. Second typical mistake in English is to forget to use a verb. Now, in this case, we have this sentence saying every sentence must have only one main verb. So be careful with that. Main verbs, just one. You might have auxiliary verbs, you might have modal verbs, but main verbs transmitting an idea, just one. What do I mean by this? In this case, for example, we will be back home. We couldn't say we will be get back home. So the verb be and get together cannot be used in a sentence because every sentence in English must have only one main verb. Is that clear? Is that okay? All right. Third sentence, you have to do exactly the same thing. Read it and tell me if you think the sentence is grammatically correct or not. Let's apply the first two rules that we have seen. We said that every sentence needs a subject. So this sentence says, I enjoy very much doing sports. In this case, this I is the subject, so the first rule is covered. This sentence has the subject and only one subject. That is something important to bear in mind as well, that you need to use only one subject in a sentence. The second rule we saw was connected to verbs, and we said every sentence needs a verb and only one verb. In this case, it's enjoy. This, you might be wondering, what about doing? Okay, in this case, this is a gerund. It's not a verb in present simple, in past simple, in present continuous, etc. So this sentence has just one verb in present simple. So up to that point, this sentence is okay. But what about the rest? I enjoy very much doing sports. This sentence is also wrong. And let me tell you, this is one of the most typical mistakes students make when they are using this structure. Okay, but what's the problem? How can we correct this sentence? Any idea? Okay, in this case, the problem is that we were using the verb and the object separately, and we cannot separate the verb from the object in English. What's the verb? Enjoy. And what do you enjoy? You enjoy, or I enjoy, doing sports. So that is what we cannot separate. The verb enjoy from its object, doing sports. I enjoy doing sports very much. This very much should go after the object of the verb. If you are not sure, or if you say, well, I don't remember what an object is, I saw that when I was at secondary school, remember that the object of a sentence always answers the question what. So what do I enjoy? I enjoy doing sports. I cannot answer the question what do I enjoy with very much. What do you enjoy? Very much. That doesn't make sense. That's not the object of the verb. The object of the verb here is doing sports. So 3 rules so far. Number 1, every sentence in English needs a subject and only one subject, except for imperative sentences and some exclamatory sentences. Rule number 2, every sentence in English needs a verb and only one verb. Main verb, be careful with that. And then rule number 3, every time you have a verb that takes an object, so that is a transitive verb, you cannot separate that verb from the object. You must use them together. And then if you want to use adverbs, you have to use them afterwards. Now, what we are going to be doing now is to put this into practice. I'm going to show you a list of 6 sentences. They all have a mistake. What you have to do is to try to identify that mistake. You have to spot it. Okay, so let's get started here. The first sentence says, practicing English every day, it's a good idea. I have already told you that all these sentences are wrong. So you know that there is a mistake in number 1. But my question is, what is that mistake? Can you identify it? Think about the 3 rules. Check if the sentence has a subject and only one subject. Check if the sentence has a verb and only one main verb. And check perhaps if there is a verb followed by an object if they are together. Right? Have you done that? So let's see what the problem, what problem we have here in this sentence, what the problem is. I've got the subject for this sentence, practicing English every day. That's the subject, right? And what's the verb? Here, is, practicing English every day, is the verb. But what is this it doing here? The problem that we have in sentence number 1 is that we have a double subject. And we cannot have that in English. We need only one subject. So how can we solve this problem? How can we make this sentence grammatically correct? Okay, either we remove this it and we say practicing English every day is a good idea, or we directly start with the it. It's a good idea if from the context it's clear that we are talking about practicing English every day. So I have decided to take the first option, and the correct sentence is practicing English every day is a good idea. Now, sentence number 2. Secondly, helps you activate the language more often. Here, indirectly, I'm telling you what to do to improve your English, you see? What happens with this sentence? What is the mistake here? Go over the 3 rules and try to identify what the mistake is and how you can make it grammatically correct. Okay, the problem in this second sentence is that the verb helps has no subject. Secondly, it's not the subject. It's not a noun. It's not the subject of the verb helps. So what we need to do here is to add a subject. Secondly, it helps you activate the language more often. Remember, this is the first rule. Every sentence in English needs a subject and only one subject. So these 2 sentences were related to the first rule. Let's take a look at the third one. I don't enough free time. So, what is wrong with this sentence? Can you identify the mistake? Go over the 3 rules and tell me what's the problem, what's wrong with it. Okay, let me tell you that here we don't have a main verb. We have an auxiliary verb, I don't. But I don't what? I don't go, I don't take, I don't. Okay, in this case, what's the verb that collocates with time? I don't enough free time. So the missing verb here is have. I don't have enough free time. Remember that every sentence in English needs a verb. And you might say, okay, but what about don't? Don't is an auxiliary verb. It's an auxiliary verb. It tells you that the sentence is in present simple and that it is negative, but nothing else. It's not transmitting any kind of meaning other than those 2 ideas. So that's why here we need the verb have. We need the verb have as the main verb of the sentence. Number 4, agree with you. And this is a very common mistake among students. Let's see if you can identify what the problem is. Okay, do you remember the second rule about verbs? That you have to have a verb in each sentence. But how many verbs? Only one main verb. And the problem here is that you have 2 main verbs. You have the verb to be, and then you have the verb agree. And you cannot have that in English. So as to make this sentence grammatically correct, you have to delete the verb to be. And the sentence is, I agree with you. The same thing happens if you use it in the negative. You just take an auxiliary and you can say, I don't agree with you. But you never combine the verb to be with the verb agree in English. Bear that in mind because, as I said before, this is a very common mistake. Sentence number 5. We're almost done with this. Please finish quickly the report. Okay, what kind of sentence is this? Because we're starting with a verb. And we said that if you start a sentence with a verb, this is an imperative. Of course, this please just adds some detail to that, but it's not part of the structure of subject and verb. So in this case, again, we are starting this sentence with an infinitive. It's an imperative sentence, so we don't need a subject. But what happens with the rest of the sentence? What's the object of finish? What do I want the other person to finish? What's the object of it? Is it quickly? What do I want you to finish? I want you to finish the report. So here you shouldn't separate the verb finish from the object. So in this case, the correct sentence is, please finish the report quickly. And not the other one, please finish quickly the report. And last but not least, this last sentence says, do you like watching TV series? Somebody asks that question, and the answer is yes, I really like. Okay, there is also a mistake here, and let me help you with a clue. The mistake is in the second sentence, in the answer. Yes, I really like. Like is a transitive verb, and when a verb is transitive, you need to use an object after that. So, what is missing here? In this case, the objects. You need to say what you like. So as not to repeat, yes, I really like watching TV series, you could directly use a pronoun. Yes, this object pronoun it. Do you like watching TV series? Yeah, I really like it. Okay? Hope you have understood all these rules, these 3 basic rules in English, and that you can start implementing them next time you have to speak in English. So remember, this structure of subject, verb, and object is really important to transmit a clear idea, because if you start messing this up, your message might not be clear enough. So if you are wondering, Andre, what's the connection between these and fluency? At the very beginning of the lesson, I said, to be fluent, you also need structures, because in order to put your ideas into sentences, you need to know how to organize those sentences. So remember, every sentence in English needs a subject and only one subject. Every sentence in English needs a verb and only one main verb. And if that verb is transitive, if that verb needs an object, remember to place it right after that verb, not to separate the verb and the object with, for example, an adverb. Okay? Excellent. So, people, thank you very much for having participated in this lesson. Remember that if you want to get notifications of every lesson, you have to subscribe to my channel and activate the bell so as to get immediate notifications of when I go live. And if you want short and simple tips to speak English more fluently and more confidently, you can follow me on my Instagram page at Andrea Rial. Okay. So once again, thank you very much for watching this video. See you next week. Bye-bye.